All right, here we go. Game 5, Mavericks versus Clippers is set for tomorrow night, and we're going to be live here on Dallas Mavericks Today. Myself, Jeffrey Cooperstein, for full play-by-play coverage. So be sure to subscribe and join us. And another reason you subscribe is because we're both off today ahead of tomorrow's big game, but we got some injury news to get to, so hit that subscribe button for day-to-day updates throughout the NBA playoffs and, of course, coverage throughout the offseason. All right, 3 notable injury updates to get to. Let's start with Luka Doncic, who is clearly being hampered by a knee. Jason Kidd today called it a sprained knee for Luka, but he is listed as probable for tomorrow night, said he got through today's scrimmage with no setbacks. That is a positive, but I think in terms of trying to win this series, it's clear he's not 100% healthy, and there's not really going to be anything they can do for him to get 100% healthy because to fix a sprained knee, you probably need to lay off of it. Well, that is just not an option for the Dallas Mavericks right now. So as long as the Mavs are in the postseason, he is going to have to deal with this injury. Now, as time goes on, if they win this series, could he go from, let's say he's 80% now to be 90% by some point? Yeah, I think so, but I think it's pretty clear he's not going to be 100%. So then the question that naturally follows is, well, what does that mean? Like, can he be the Luka we know and love and go dominate a game? Can he go score 35, 40 points, be the sole conductor offensively, but then more importantly, defend at the level he did in games 2 and 3? I think that's where this injury is going to be the issue. I still think one of those Luka offensive vintage games where he's super efficient and drops 40 plus is coming. He certainly has had some big outputs in this playoff series, but it hasn't been super efficient, and I don't think he's able to get downhill as easily because of that knee. But the bigger issue is on the defensive end because we know he's going to have an impact offensively, even if he's not 100% himself. But in game 4, coming off that knee tweak, knee sprain at the end of game 3, it was just obvious, especially as the game went on, that he could not have a major impact on the defensive side of the floor. It was what it was, right? And I kind of think it is what it is. Like, is he going to be able to be an even average defender on that end? I don't know the answer to that question. If the answer is no, and he can't find that lateral mobility, which was so impressive throughout points during this season and throughout a couple of these playoff games, but it just wasn't there in game 4. If he can't do that, then the Mavericks are going to have to try different things. I think you might have to see them try to employ a zone, which could lead to more open three-pointers, but you may have to take that chance. They're obviously going to try and hide Luka on guys like Amir Coffey and Terrence Mann and stuff like that, but the Clippers are going to hunt for that switch. They're going to bring man up and Coffey up on whoever's bringing the ball up, Paul George or James Harden, and they're going to try to get that switch onto Luka, and then they're going to ISO him out and see if he can stay in front. And, I think my natural thought would be, okay, I think you need to sag off a little bit if they try to ISO Luka. Well, James Harden has proven in this series and throughout his career, well, you sag off, he's just going to pull that three-pointer and knock it down at a pretty efficient clip. He's been really good shooting the three ball for most of this series. Obviously, at the end of game 3, he got downhill whenever he wanted in the fourth quarter. He crossed over Luka a couple times. They tried to put PJ Washington on him. That didn't work. So, yeah, I expect the Mavericks to try and get Luka out of those situations as often as possible. But if I'm Ty Lue and the Clippers, I am just hunting for that switch. So if you're the Mavericks, you got to see that coming, and you got to fight through those screens because if Luka gets isolated on Harden and that mobility and that lateral movement isn't there, there's just not going to be much he can do. I mean, Harden's already a tough guard, and when you're dealing with a knee that's 75% whatever, that's going to make it that much more difficult. How concerned are you with Luka Doncic's knee? Scale from 1 to 10, 10 being very concerned, 1 being not at all. I'm at probably an 8. He's going to play. I think he'll score. But the defense, I think, is going to be a pretty notable problem. All right, so we go from Luka to Tim Hardaway Jr. As Coop and I talked yesterday, hey, you may actually need Tim with the ineffectiveness of Dante Exum. I mean, Jason Kidd went to Jaden Hardy for a couple of minutes in game 3. Tim didn't have a good second half of the year, but he has playoff experience. He's played in these big moments, and he's listed as questionable, but he did have a setback, according to Jason Kidd's post practice scrum today during today's scrimmage. So he is questionable. So that you can kind of look at that two ways. Half class full, well, he's questionable. You know, he hadn't even been that up to this point heading into a game. That's good. But on the negative side, if he doesn't have this setback, he probably would have been full throttle ready to go for game 5. So again, even if he's ready to go, he's definitely not going to be 100%, but can he give you 10 minutes? Can he come in for, you know, 5 to 7 minutes in each half and at least help you space the floor a little bit? We'll see. Ankle sprains are different for everyone, obviously. Well, we don't know how severe this setback is. I think a lot of it will just depend on how does he feel when he wakes up tomorrow. What's the shoot around like, pregame warm up, and then they'll make a call. But I would like to see Tim Hardaway play if he is active and able to go, because unfortunately Dante Exum just has not been an effective player in this series, and you kind of think at some point he's going to have to give you something. We'll see if Game 5 is that game, especially if Tim's out again, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. All right, Kawhi Leonard, he is out again. Ty Lue already ruling him out. He's still dealing with that knee issue. And, normally you'd be like, okay, another opportunity to beat the Clippers without Kawhi. But I think that kind of narrative and storyline's out the window at this point, because the Clippers are 2-0 without Kawhi in the series, and the Mavericks are 2-0 when Kawhi plays for the Clippers in this series. So the Clippers are clearly comfortable playing without him. They played the final 3 weeks of the regular season without him. They've played their 2 better playoff games in this series without him. I won't go as far as saying they're a better team without him, but they are a better team without him when he's not healthy. Like the 2 games he played, you could tell he was a non-factor. I mean, he wasn't able to move as well. He wasn't elevating on that jump shot. I mean, they're playing better without him as an injured player right now, which is why I don't think he plays this series unless, he gets a clean bill of health, which I don't know if that's going to happen at this point in time. And look, if you're the Mavericks, you've just got to just flush that idea out of like, okay, they're undermanned. I'm not sitting there and saying, game 1, game 4, they're saying, hey man, Kawhi's out, we got this. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's easy to go there. It's human nature. Like you play the Lakers and LeBron's out, it's a little easier of a situation. But the Clippers have proven to you twice now in the last 10 days that they don't need Kawhi Leonard to beat you. They've done it twice, largely on the hands of just nuclear starts. So if you're Dallas, you have just got to settle into this game 5 early. I'm not saying you got to even race out to a lead early. Just get to the end of the first quarter and have it still be a game. Have it still be a game at halftime. That has not really been the case the last 2 games, or in the 2 games you've lost. Miraculously, in game 4, you came all the way back and even took a late lead, but it was such a high hill to climb that you couldn't seal the deal and finish the job as Paul George made a crazy 3 and James Harden got into the paint with that floater game several times. You couldn't finish, but you can't dig yourself that kind of a deficit and expect to win in the playoffs. These teams are too good. I don't care that Kawhi's out. So the Mavericks need to start well. They need to lock in defensively. I am fascinated to see what the adjustments for the Mavericks are defensively with this Luka knee issue. I'm curious to see how the Clippers attack it. Again, if I'm the Clippers, I am bringing the ball up with James Harden, and whoever is guarding Luka, I'm hunting for a switch. I'm trying to get that switch on pick and get out of the way. Not even pick and roll, just screen to get the switch, and then you ISO Harden out. I mean, that was very effective down the stretch in game 4, and if I'm the Clippers, I'm trying to do that again. Other things I would look at if I'm Dallas is I would play Derek Lively more. I think he's been better than Gafford in this series. I think you need to play Daniel Gafford some, but I would give Lively well over 20 minutes, maybe 25. Obviously, Cleveland's going to get his time as well. Gafford will get in there, but I would give Lively the start. You're going to have to lean heavily on Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington. They've been playing heavy minutes. I don't think that's going to change. You need PJ to score some. He did not do that in the 2 home games. Really, the only game he's done that in this series was game 2 when he went off in the 4th quarter. So you're going to need more out of him. And look, to state the obvious, especially with Luka not 100%, Kyrie's got to be probably your lead dog right now. That's just what you need, and that's why you bring in a guy like that. Because if Luka's not going, or if he's banged up, or he just needs some help, Kyrie Irving is capable of carrying the load, and he's proven to be able to do that. What he does need to do is to do it early on. Like, we don't need 26 of his 35 points in the second half. Like, again, you got to get to halftime with this being a competitive basketball game on Wednesday night. So hopefully he's able to start faster. He historically starts games slow. So hopefully the Mavericks can find him some rhythm early. All right, there you have it. 3 big injury updates heading into game 4. Give us your score prediction and let us know who you guys think wins, or game 5, excuse me, who wins game 5 on Wednesday night. Give me I'll go a little homer here. I don't feel great about it, but I'll go Mavs 107, Clippers 103. I think this is going to be a knuckle fight. I think both defenses at times in this series have shown to be really good. Again, this Luka injury is throwing kind of a wrench into that, but I think every possession is going to feel tense as this is a very, very pivotal game. Luka, again, probable. Tim Hardaway, questionable. Kawhi Leonard out for the LA Clippers. Hit that subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow night for game 5. I believe a 9 o'clock tip, so we'll be live probably about 8:45 or so. So join myself and Coop then. Until then, go Mavs and get those MFFLs in the comments.